Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today's video we're talking about the top 5 scariest haunted dolls. This is Queen of Horror. Number 5 is the BB doll. BB is a redhead doll with blue eyes from 1976. A haunted doll collector named Janice says BB is a very real haunted doll. Janice has a collection of over 25 haunted dolls. When BB first arrived in her house, the atmosphere changed. Not in a good or bad way, it was almost like she was bringing in mixed emotions. Janice would hear doors slamming, giggling, feel chills down her spine, and often feel like she wasn't alone. Janice then decided to get the house blessed, which only made things worse. One night she heard a thump above her room. The noise was coming from her attic. She climbed up the ladder and into the attic, but nothing is heard. But she once again felt like she wasn't alone. She felt very uncomfortable and started gasping for air, then fell into a dream-like state. Everything went black and she felt like she was falling. She then visions herself looking at what seems like a 6-foot man. He looked very angry and started heading towards an old room in the house. He opened the door and whispered. The whispers sounded very sinister. She then heard the cries of a young girl, crying and gasping from behind the door. The door swung open. The man left, and all that was seen was the dead body of a little girl. In her hand there is a doll with a blue dress and red shoes. Janice opened her eyes and was lying on the floor beneath her attic. Out of the corner of her eye she sees BB, which she realized was the same doll she had seen in her dream. She thinks the little girl haunts BB. Janice says, "This rare eBay find is the most haunted doll in the world, and I have plans to prove it." Now this may seem crazy, buying a haunted doll off eBay, but it happens a lot more than you think. Number 4, the Island of Dolls. Now I have no idea how to say this island's name, so I am going to put it up the top here. This island is now a tourist attraction. The island is south of Mexico City and currently holds hundreds of mutilated dolls. The dolls are very unnerving and chilling to look at even in the light of day. When it becomes dark, the island is somewhere you do not want to be. It all started with Don Julian Santana, a man who discovered the body of a drowned child in the sea 50 years ago. Not long after, he found a floating doll inside the water. He was so traumatized, he tried to bring her spirit to peace. He decided to place the doll in the trees, hoping it would lay her to rest. One doll in the tree ended up not being enough to ease Santana's mind. He continued to collect dolls and even doll parts out of the sea whenever he could find them. He would hang each one on the island. Later in life, he began trading his home, grown fruits, and vegetables for dolls. Don Santana believed the island was haunted by the little girl's spirit. He thought that he could make the deceased girl happy and keep evil at bay by hanging discarded dolls in the trees. In 2001, Don Santana drowned in the water, just like the little girl. Many people said the dolls killed the old man. Since then, the island has become a tourist attraction. People have visited, and even television crews, who say they have proof that the island is haunted. Number 3, Harold the doll. Harold was the first doll ever sold on eBay. The doll was named Haunted Harold. The woman who bought this doll was told that this man believed his son haunted the doll. He would often hear crying and singing, coming from the area of which the doll was placed. He said he tried to burn the doll, but the doll would not burn, which is why his legs and arms are so worn. The woman didn't believe him, and 2 days after buying the doll, her cat died. Her girlfriend left her, and this was only 2 days after purchasing the doll. A week later, she began to hear children laughing and crying coming from her basement. The doll had over 100,000 views until someone bought the doll for $300, who then sold it to another family because she couldn't handle it. A friend of the seller now owns the doll. Says a friend of hers came to see the doll after she heard about the strange things. A month later, her friend developed a brain tumor and died. A week later, another friend took a look at the doll. A month later, he fell to his death from a flight of stairs. The woman was in her bedroom one night when she heard noises downstairs. She came down to find Harold sitting in a chair. She said it looked like he was smiling at her. Her friends and family don't want to go near the doll, so she keeps him locked away in her basement. Number 2 is the well-known Annabelle. Donna got Annabelle from her mother in 1970. Her mother bought the used doll from a hobby store. Donna was a college student at the time and living with a roommate named Angie. Neither Donna or Angie thought the doll was anything special to begin with, but over time they noticed Annabelle seemed to move on her own. At first it was really subtle, but soon the doll would become fully mobile. The girls would leave the apartment with Annabelle on Donna's bed to find Annabelle now on the couch. Their friend Lou hated the doll. He thought there was something wrong with it, something extremely evil. But the girls were modern women and didn't believe that sort of thing. But soon, Annabelle's actions would get even weirder. They would find pieces of paper throughout the house with words written on it. "Help us," they would say, or "Help Lou." The escalation continued. One night, Donna would come home to find Annabelle with blood on her hands. The blood, or some sort of red liquid, seemed to be coming from the doll itself. Lou started having dreams where Annabelle was in his bed, climbing up his leg, sliding up his chest to his neck, and closing her stuffed hands around his throat. It didn't take the Warrens long to come to the conclusion there was no ghost inside this doll. It was an inhuman spirit which was attached. The demon was clinging to the doll, manipulating it in order to give the impression of a haunting. The target was really Donna's soul. A priest performed an exorcism on the home, and the Warrens took over Annabelle. They even drove the back roads to get home, worried that the doll might take possession of the car. Eventually, the Warrens built a locked case for Annabelle. She resides there to this day. Now, number 1 is Robert the doll. Robert is 111 years old and lives in the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. Before that, he was the property of Robert Otto, an eccentric artist and member of a prominent Key West family. Robert was a childhood birthday gift from Otto's grandfather, who bought the doll during a trip to Germany. Robert's relationship with the doll continued into adulthood. People believe Robert has caused car accidents, broken bones, job loss, divorce, and a whole lot more. People say he brought it everywhere. He talked about it in the first person, as if he weren't a doll. He was Robert, a live entity. According to legend, young Otto began to blame mishaps on the doll, and the adults started noticing odd occurrences. A woman named Myrtle purchased Otto's home after his death in 1974, and also became Robert's new caretaker. Visitors swore they heard footsteps in the attic and giggling. Some claimed Robert's expression changed whenever someone badmouthed Otto in front of him. Myrtle said Robert would move around the house on his own, and after 20 years, donated him to the museum in 1994. Since Robert arrived, visitors have rushed to the museum to get a look at the toy. He has appeared on TV shows, had his aura photographed, he is a stop on a ghost tour, and inspired a horror movie. Fans can buy Robert replicas, books, t-shirts, and coasters, and they can, and do, write to him. They aren't typical fan letters. They're often apologies. Many visitors attribute post-visit misfortunes to failing to respect Robert, and they write begging for forgiveness. Others ask him for advice or to hex those who've wronged them. Robert, I should have listened to those who warned me about photographing you. I paid for the few of the photos I took. Listed below is the trouble you caused me. 1. My 2 favorite souvenirs from Key West came up missing. 2. Upon returning my car rental, an unexplained $50 charge showed up on my credit card. 3. The hotel I had a reservation at, you gave my room to someone else. 4. On my return flight home, you gave me the same seat number as another passenger. 5. When I went to retrieve my luggage at the airport, it wasn't on the carousel it was assigned to. You put it 2 carousels further down. Mine was the only one that was on the wrong carousel. 6. You had my loving cat greet my return home by biting me. 7. You made me late to work on my first day back from vacation. Dear Robert, I visited you a little over a month ago and I never asked you if I could take your picture. And let me tell you, you've definitely made me regret it. The day after I returned home from Florida, A little less than a week after I visited you, I got my first speeding ticket, which ended up taking a month to get paid because they supposedly lost the ticket. And then I've been having problem after problem with my car. It's gotten to the point where it's not really even logical to keep fixing it. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I'm sincerely sorry for not asking before I took your picture. That was very rude of me, and you definitely have made me learn my lesson. I hope to visit you again soon, and trust me, I will for sure ask before taking your picture. P.S. I am so sorry. Dear Robert, hello Robert, how are you? I'm not good. I have a backache. I don't know why my back is hurt. Then I remember you. 2 months ago I took a picture of you. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that I can't take a picture of you. Should I delete the picture? I must apologize for the delay of sending you mail. I don't know how I can apologize, so I'm writing this letter. I'm so sorry. I hope your life is very good. And there are many more of these. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell because you'll get a notification every time I post a video. This is Queen of Horror.